All right, listen up for a second. Imagine grinding your whole life, stacking your savings, thinking you're finally safe. And then some dude you've never met in real life convinces you to send him $600,000. And no, this isn't some 18-year-old who doesn't know better. This is a grown woman, a professional, smart, responsible. And she still got played like a damn violin. We're talking houses, retirement, grandkids' futures, all wired away to the love of her life, a man who didn't even exist. This is the kind of story that makes you look at your own DMs a little different. Because if this scam could take down her, it could take down literally anybody watching this right now. By the time this thing was over, she wasn't just broke. She was ashamed, alone, and one signature away from losing complete control of her life. Power of attorney signed over. Bank drained. Mind twisted. Heart absolutely shattered. And the wildest part? It didn't start with, hey, send me $600K. It started with, hey, beautiful, how are you? One DM, one little dopamine hit. And from there, it turned into the most expensive love story you're ever gonna hear. So if you think, man, I'd never fall for that, cool. Stay to the end and test that confidence. Because in this episode, we're breaking down exactly how scammers turn loneliness into a weapon, the psychological tricks that make smart people ignore giant red flags, the small early signs that someone in your life might already be getting groomed by a scammer, and how one woman went from looking for love to sending over $600,000 trying to save a man who never showed up. By the end of this, you're going to see romance scams in 4K. You'll know the patterns, the lines, the fake emergencies, the emotional traps, so that what happened to our guest today never happens to you or someone you care about. All right, let's get into it. So, today we've got someone insanely brave in the studio. Most people would hide this story forever. She agreed to come on, put it all out there, and let the internet hear exactly how this went down, step by step, so you can learn from it. Her name is Emily. She's 52, she lives out in Arizona, she's a nurse, mom, and grandma. And a couple years ago, her entire life got flipped upside down by a man she thought was the one. Spoiler, he wasn't. He was a calculated scammer, running a script, and Emily was the target. Emily, first of all, thank you for being here and being this open. Before we dig into the crazy details, can you introduce yourself real quick? Who are you, where you're from, and what's the short version of what happened?
Yeah, so my name's Emily. I'm 52. I've been a nurse for over 25 years and I live in Arizona. I was married for a long time. My husband passed away and I was just lonely. I ended up meeting a man online who I really thought loved me. And over time, I sent him about $600,000.
$600,000. All right, we're going to unpack exactly how that happens because I know everybody listening is like, no way I'd ever do that. Let's start at the very beginning, the night everything started. Where were you? What app were you on? And how did this dude first slide into your life? All right, so you're talking every day, you're emotionally locked in, but you still haven't met him. No calls, no FaceTime. At this point, what did he feel like to you? Some dude online or your actual boyfriend?
Honestly, it felt like a relationship. I would have told you I had a boyfriend. I'd wake up, grab my phone, and the first thing I'd see was, "Good morning, my queen," or "How did you sleep, beautiful?" He remembered everything. If I had a rough shift, he'd be like, "How's your back today? Did that rude patient ever apologize?" Stuff my own kids don't even follow up on. And when you've been alone a long time, that kind of attention feels like oxygen.
Yeah, that hits different when you're starved for it.
Exactly. And he made me feel young again. I'm 52, right? But he'd be like, "Age is just a number, Emily. Your soul is so vibrant. I feel like I'm talking to a 25-year-old. And I knew it was cheesy. I knew it. But I still smiled every time.
Were you telling people about him? Friends, family, coworkers?
At first, no. It felt fragile. Like if I said it out loud, it would disappear. Plus, I didn't want to hear, "You're too old for this online stuff," or "Be careful, that sounds shady." So I kept him kind of like this secret, my little fantasy bubble. I'd be at work charting and my phone would buzz and it'd be him saying, "I miss you." And suddenly my whole day felt lighter. The first person I did tell was my coworker Jenna. I showed her his pictures. She said, "Dang, Emily, okay, he's handsome." That kind of validated it for me. Like, see, he looks real. Someone else thinks so too.
What kind of future was he selling you? Like, what did you two talk about long term?
Oh, he painted the whole movie. He'd say, "Once this last contract wraps up, I'm done with all this traveling. I want to settle down. I want to cook dinner with you, fall asleep holding you, wake up to your smile instead of my phone." We talked about him moving to Arizona, maybe buying a smaller house together, traveling once a year, spoiling the grandkids. He'd ask me what kind of kitchen I liked, gas or electric, how I take my coffee, if I snore. Those little details, they make it feel real. You start planning your life around a person you've never even heard speak.
So for you, it's not just flirting anymore. You're literally building a life in your head.
Yeah, I started rearranging my future in my mind. I was like, okay, maybe I won't be alone forever. Maybe I get a second chance. And that's powerful. When you've already buried one husband, the idea that you might get to love again, it's addicting.
When does this perfect little bubble start to crack?
About 3 weeks in, he tells me he's going on this huge business trip, big contract overseas. He said it would be the last big job before he could come to the States for good. He was hyping it up. "Once this deal clears, I'm flying straight to you. No more distance, no more screens." He sent me what looked like flight info, pictures in an airport lounge, even a selfie in what looked like a hotel room in Turkey. I had no reason to question it. Then one night he messages me and says, "Babe, something's gone wrong. I'm in trouble." And that was the moment everything started to shift.
You said he texts, "I'm in trouble." What does that mean? What's the first emergency he throws at you?
He tells me there was some issue with the contract, customs, taxes, whatever. He says, "Babe, they frozen my account. I can't access my money. If I don't pay these fees, they're going to hold me here. I could lose everything." He's like, "I'm so embarrassed to ask you this. I'm a man. I'm supposed to protect you, but you're the only person I trust." At first, it was just $3,000. And I remember thinking, that's a lot, but this is temporary. He kept saying, "The second this deal clears, I'll pay you back 10 times. We'll be set for life."
How fast do you say yes?
Way faster than I should have. I stared at the screen for maybe 5 minutes. My heart was racing. And then I pictured him stuck in some foreign country, alone, scared, just trying to get back to me. So I wired the money. Same day. And as soon as I sent the confirmation, he blew up my phone. "You saved my life. I don't deserve you. I'm going to marry you one day." That hit me right in the chest. It felt like we were a team, like a real couple facing a problem together.
And that's how they get you. First test, then what?
Then the pattern starts. A week later, "Babe, bad news. The bank is asking for an additional clearance fee." Then later, "They're holding my shipment. I need to pay for storage or I lose everything." Every single time it sounded like the last hurdle, $5,000, $8,000, $12,000. And I'm telling myself, well, I've already sent this much. If I stop now, all that money's just gone. If I help a little more, he can fix it and then pay me back. That's how you slide down the slope. It's never 600 grand at once. It's death by 1,000 transfers.
What kind of money are we talking? Savings, credit, home equity?
At first, it was savings. I had about $60,000 I'd built over years. That went fast. Then I started dipping into a retirement account, cashed out a portion, paid the penalty, told myself I'd refill it when he paid me back. When that ran low, he started suggesting things. He'd say, "Could your bank give you a short-term loan? Just tell them it's for home renovation or consolidation. You have good credit. They'll approve you." I remember the day I sat in front of a loan officer lying through my teeth. I told them I wanted to remodel my kitchen. In reality, I was sending $40,000 to a man I had never seen move his lips.
Did anyone at the bank clock it? Ask questions?
There was one lady, she looked at my file and said, "You know this is a big amount. Are you sure about this?" And my stomach flipped. For a second, it was like my brain tried to wake up. But then I heard his voice in my head. "If they ask questions, don't mention me. They won't understand. People are jealous of real love." So I smiled and told her, "Yes, I'm sure it's for my house." She shrugged, printed the papers. I signed my future away in 3 signatures.
When does it stop feeling like helping your boyfriend and start feeling like a horror movie?
The first time, my card declined buying groceries. I'm standing there with a cart full of food and it just says declined. I'm like, that has to be a mistake. I'd always been careful. I go home, log into my accounts, and for the first time, I zoom out and look at everything. The balances were nothing. Savings almost empty. Retirement gutted. Credit cards maxed. I message him freaking out, like I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm almost out of money. And instead of saying, "Okay, stop, I'll figure this out," he flips it on me. He goes, "Wow, so you don't believe in us anymore? After everything I've been through? I thought you were different. Maybe I should have known you didn't really love me."
That's brutal.
I started crying. Because now it wasn't just about money, it was about being a good partner. He made it sound like my loyalty was on the line, like if I hesitated, I was the bad guy. So I apologized to the guy draining me. I literally wrote, "I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm just stressed. I love you. I'll help however I can." And he responds, "That's my queen. This is the last time. After this, everything changes."
But it doesn't.
Of course not. The amounts got bigger. $50,000, $80,000, just until the contract clears. When I finally told him I'm tapped out, he asked about my house. He said, "Could you take a line of credit on your home? It's just numbers on a screen, babe. Once I land and the money clears on my side, we'll pay it all off. You won't owe a cent." I remember sitting at my dining table, alone, staring at the mortgage papers. My hands were literally shaking. Everything in me was screaming, "Stop, this is insane." And then my phone buzzes. "I just want to hold you. I don't want you to worry about money ever again. Help me finish this and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I signed, took out a line of credit on the only real asset I had, sent him another $120,000.
So at this point, roughly how much have you sent in total?
By the time it was all said and done, around $600,000. My entire financial life gone. And the most terrifying part wasn't even the empty accounts. It was realizing I had become someone I didn't recognize. Lying to banks, hiding statements, dodging my own kids' questions, all for a man who, if you think about it, only existed in text bubbles.
Was there one specific moment where it finally snapped? Where you realized, oh my God, I've been scammed?
Yeah, he was supposed to fly to me. Tickets booked, bags packed. We've been planning this visit for weeks. The day before the flight, he messages me. "They're saying I can't leave the country until I clear this last fee. It's $30,000. If I don't pay it today, they'll cancel the contract and I'll lose millions. Please, Emily, don't let them tear us apart. Not after everything we've been through." And for the first time, I wrote back, "I don't have it." He goes silent for hours, then comes back cold. "I guess I was wrong about you." Something in me just broke. If this man loved me truly, deeply, the way he'd been saying for months, he would have said, "It's okay. I'll figure it out. I love you." Instead, the second the money dried up, so did the affection. That's when the horror got real. Not just that I'd lost $600,000, but that I'd been nothing more than an ATM with a heartbeat.
So at that point you realize, I was just an ATM with a heartbeat. But in stories like this, there's almost always something even darker underneath. Was there one twist, one moment that made everything feel 10 times worse?
There was.
And honestly, it cut deeper than the $600,000. A few days after he disappeared, my oldest son came over. He was like, "Mom, you've been acting strange. What's going on?" And I finally broke. I said, "I've been helping someone, and I think I've made a terrible mistake." He asked to see everything: messages, emails, transfer receipts, screenshots, all of it.
So this is the first time anyone else sees the full picture.
Yeah, and his first reaction wasn't anger. He just went really quiet. He opened his laptop and started Googling some of the exact phrases my online boyfriend used. The love bombing, the contract drama, the frozen funds overseas, the customs nonsense, all of it. Then he turned the screen toward me. There were hundreds of reports from victims all over the world, and they were describing the exact same story. Same type of messages, same excuses, sometimes even the same sentences word for word.
Like it was literally a script?
Exactly. And that was the first twist. This special connection I thought was just between us was nothing but a cheap script they were copy-pasting onto dozens of people at the same time. But the second twist was worse. My son looked at me and said, "Mom, I don't think this is just one guy. This looks like a whole operation, and they might still have your information." That's when my stomach dropped. Because over those months, I hadn't just sent money, I'd sent scans of my ID for verification, bank documents for proof of funds, even my digital signature because he said it was needed for some temporary guarantee with a foreign bank. So it wasn't just that they drained me dry, they might be able to become me on paper.
So it goes from romance scam to full-on identity theft potential. That's terrifying.
We panicked. We called the banks, filed police reports, put fraud alerts on my credit, contacted every institution we could think of. And that's when the real horror sank in. The $600,000 might not be the end of the nightmare, just the opening scene. If we hadn't moved fast, I could have woken up one day owing money on loans I never took, or being investigated for accounts I never opened.
That's like the final boss of financial horror. Looking back now, what's the biggest lesson you pulled from all of this? Especially for people watching who are thinking, that would never happen to me.
First lesson. If someone you've never met in real life asks for money, no matter how desperate the story sounds, that is not love. That is a transaction, and you are the product. Second lesson. Shame is their favorite weapon. I kept going because I was ashamed to tell anyone, ashamed to admit I'd been fooled, ashamed that a grown woman, a mother, a professional, could fall for something like this. If I could go back, I'd tell just one person early on, one friend, one sibling, one coworker, because someone on the outside can see the red flags we keep covering with feelings.
So if someone watching this right now is texting with an online love that sounds a little too familiar, grand promises, constant excuses not to video call, endless emergencies that somehow always involve money, what do you want to say directly to them?
Take screenshots. Show them to someone who isn't emotionally involved. Don't just trust your heart. Test the story. And if you've already sent money, stop at the next transfer. No matter how much you've already lost, do not try to get it back by sending more. That's the hook. It's better to walk away now and lose only what's gone than to end up like me, staring at $600,000 in losses and realizing every send click was another nail in the coffin of my own future.
That's brutal. But that's exactly why this story needs to be told. So the horror stays here in this episode and doesn't repeat in someone else's real life. In the next part, we're going to break down the biggest red flags and what you can do right now to protect yourself and your parents, your friends, anyone lonely and vulnerable from becoming the next Romance Scam podcast. Before we go there, is there one warning sign you wish you'd taken seriously from the very beginning?
Thank you, Emily, for sharing your story. If this story shook you even a little, that's exactly the point. Because the next victim of a romance scam could be you. Or your mom.
or your best friend who lives alone and just wants someone to talk to. Don't let this episode be where your awareness stops. Let it be where your protection starts. If you want to stay one step ahead of these scammers, hit subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell. On this channel, we don't just tell horror stories for shock value. We expose real tactics, real scripts, and real manipulation techniques so you can recognize them before they drain your bank account and your sanity. Here's what I want you to do next. Watch another episode from our romance scam playlist. Hear different stories, different tricks, same patterns. The more patterns you recognize, the harder you are to scam. Drop a comment below. Have you ever seen messages like this? Do you suspect someone you know is being groomed by a scammer? Or have you been through something similar and want your story told? Your comment might be the warning someone else desperately needs to see. And here's my promise to you. As long as you keep watching, subscribing, and sharing, we will keep digging into the darkest corners of financial scams. Romance scams, crypto scams, fake investments, all of it, and turn them into lessons that could literally save you thousands of dollars or your entire life savings. Think of this channel as your early warning system. Every episode is another alarm bell that might stop a scam before it starts. So if you don't want to see your own life turned into the next financial horror story, hit subscribe. Watch the next video in this series. Share this with someone you care about. Because the only thing worse than watching a story like this on YouTube is living it in real life. I'll see you in the next episode, where we dissect another real romance scam, step by step, so you can spot the danger long before the first "I love you" hits your inbox.